So the judge in England, Judge Andrew Nichol, found the great majority of alleged assaults of Ms. Heard by Mr. Depp have been proven to the civil standard. There's a multiplicity of emails, texts, and messages and diary entries in the papers before me. He goes on to say that they may not be independent evidence of the truth, but he believes she's been corroborated in her abuse allegations. And he goes through all of her abuse allegations, which we haven't yet heard in this case. Okay, but we're about to. So this is sort of a preview of what's coming this week. There are 14 in all, a couple of which he did discount. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but she says there were, let's just go with the ones he found he believes were supported, 12 assaults. First one, Los Angeles, early 2013. She joked about his tattoo that used to say Winona Ryder, now says Wino forever. And she said he got angry. He knocked her to the floor. Then he cried and apologized, saying he sometimes turns into the monster. Los Angeles, 2013. She alleged he was enraged. She hung a painting by her ex-partner. He tried to set it on fire. He hit her, quote, so hard that blood from her lip ended up on the wall. She said he was a Jekyll and Hyde on a binge. All of these involve drugs or alcohol. 3, Hicksville, June 13. He had taken alcohol and mushrooms. He threw glasses at her. He ripped her dress. He damaged the cabin they were staying in. 4, private plane from Boston to LA, May 2014. After drinking heavily, he had thrown objects at her, slapped her in the face, kicked her in the back, causing her to fall over. He threw his boot at her. He passed out on the toilet. He denies all of this, and on it goes. I could keep going through all 14, 12 of which the judge believed. But this same judge, for what it's worth, guys, found, number one, her donation of the $7 million to charity is hardly the act that one would expect of a gold digger. Well, we know that didn't really happen. She didn't donate the $7 million she got in the divorce settlement. So the judge was confused, to be charitable, on that. And then the judge also did not believe the poop incident. He did not believe that she had defecated or had a friend defecate in the marital bed. But this week in court, and forgive me for playing a poop sot, the chauffeur testified that she admitted it. Here it is, soundbite 25.
Did you have any discussions with Miss Heard on the way to Coachella that evening?
We had a conversation pertaining to the surprise she left in the boss's bed prior to leaving the apartment.
And when you refer to the surprise in the boss's bed, what are you referring to?
The defecation.
And what did Miss Heard say about the defecation in Mr. Depp's bed?
A horrible practical joke gone wrong.
So the judge, he wasn't all that up to speed over there in England. Vinny, your thoughts? I mean, to the point of that's a different trial than this one.
Yeah, and I think we refer to it as a grumpy. At least that's what Johnny Depp referred to it as, a grumpy. It's a new word for me. Here's the thing, right? You've got all these allegations by Amber Heard, which are going to come up this week. But this jury is hearing them a little bit differently than the judge because of one of Johnny Depp's witnesses, which was the psychologist who interviewed and analyzed Amber Heard for this jury and described her as borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder. So there's a little bit of a different filter that jury has right now. And I'm sure Amber Heard will have her own experts. But the bottom line is they've heard that testimony from that expert describing the mind of Amber Heard. So now when they hear these allegations from Amber Heard on the witness stand, maybe they look at her a little differently than the judge did.
This is a very good point. You raised this on your podcast, which I listened to. And we stole this soundbite from you, hoping that you might raise that point because it was a good one. This is soundbite 30. This is the psychologist who examined Amber for 12 plus hours and has thoughts on Amber's issues. Here it is.
Borderline personality disorder, you're having these fluctuating moods constantly. And again, this hypersensitivity to being slighted or feeling offended, really driven by the fear that if you're offended or slighted, if the therapist comes in 2 minutes late, or if somebody shows up to dinner 2 minutes late, that they might be abandoning you. So if they're in the middle of the restaurant and they feel offended, they're going to start the fight. People are going to see it, or they might just start crying or break down, but they'll make a lot of accusations. And that reactivity is when you're going to see a lot of this escalation in the bizarre behavior. They can react violently. They can react aggressively.
Now, Mark, they tried to poke holes in that by saying, well, you only interviewed her for 12 hours and you came to this case by having dinner with Johnny Depp and his lawyers and a bunch of drinks. And only when they talk to you over the booze did they decide, she'll do. Right? Because we all know how that works. You're like, well, would you believe that this woman, right? And then she's like, no, I wouldn't. And you're hired.
I'll tell you, every time I've ever had a witness with psychiatric so-called qualifications, all you got to do is put somebody else up there who says the opposite, and then the jury says a pox on both your houses. I mean, this is not, that to me is not going to be pivotal in the least. People are going to discount that.
You think so? Because right now they're like, she's a lunatic. This woman's a lunatic, borderline person, and histrionic personality disorder. I actually knew somebody who had this, and it's. If you might know somebody who has this thing, and you might not know that's what it's called, but it's somebody who tends to be hypersexualized in lots of their conversations, trying to draw weird, inappropriate attention to themselves. They have to be the center of attention. If they're not the center of attention, they get upset and they do weird things. There was this one woman who I knew a long time ago who, like, if the conversation was going on and she wasn't involved, she would just start like humming loudly. She would do whatever she could to get the conversation back on her. Always weird references to her sex life or her body or whatever. Anyway, the jury's thinking she's a nut.
Was it someone you worked with?
I was going to say, Megyn, you may have a sequel on your hands.
She actually is well known publicly. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, then Vinny will start. We'll start guessing. We'll start a pool.
We'll chat after the show. I don't need my own defamation case against me. So let's shift to this. Johnny Depp gets up there and he's introduced lots of evidence that he's the victim. He's the real victim. She claimed she was a victim falsely and ruined his career. Here's a sampling of what he says was the physical abuse he faced. Soundbite 16.
It would commence with sort of demeaning, name-calling, berated, sort of to be made a fool of, and those would escalate into a full-scale argument. I would just go and lock myself in, the bathroom or anywhere that she couldn't get into. If I stayed to argue that, eventually I was sure that it was going to escalate into violence. It could begin with a slap. It could begin with a shove. It could begin with, throwing a TV remote at my head. It could be throwing a glass of wine in my face. She kicked the bathroom door into my head. She kicked the bathroom door into my head, and I was completely taken aback by such a corrosive, horrific move. The next move was just a bang, and she clocked me in the jaw. She walked up to me and reached and grabbed the bottle of vodka, and then just kind of stood back and then hurled it at me. And then I looked down and realized that the tip of my finger had been severed.
And what did you say in response when Miss Heard said, "Tell the world, Johnny, tell them Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp, a man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence"?
I said yes.
What do you make of it, Mark? How many points did he score there?
Look, I just don't understand, frankly, the plaintiff's case. I mean, people have to understand he brought this case, and to my mind, the collateral damage to him is worse than anything that ever was suggested. And mind you, I don't even think he was named in the Washington Post editorial.
No, but it was clear.
It was clear, I suppose, but if you stop somebody on the street and you ask them today, do you remember that editorial, or do you remember the argument over whether or not the tip of his finger was cut? I'm going to suggest, or that somebody defecated in his bed. I think that's what they're going to remember. So I don't understand. And now I will give Vinnie kudos here. Now that I know who the jurors are in this case, I really don't understand what the point is of this case. I really don't. I don't.
But
think,
isn't that the point? Like, if all I can remember about this case is that he lost his finger and there was poop in the bed, I see her differently, not him.
I think that is, we're taking kind of a snapshot right now. I think we'll see, acquit herself well on the stand.
It's about to get worse for him, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the thing, Vinny, is like, so far, it's just been his stage. And she's an actress too.
Yeah, exactly right. And by the way, I'm telling you again, I see this going down gender lines. So that's just my...
That's a great prediction.
I'll say this about her testimony, though, Megyn, and it's 6 years later, but she was deposed, and I've seen the video of her deposition. She's no Johnny Depp in that deposition. So it's 6 years later. She's a more mature woman. She's been through it a couple times already. She may come across much better, but she did not come across well in her deposition.
Right. Cryptocurrency may represent the future of money. It's one of the most exciting investment opportunities to come around for some time. But what about taxes? Well, with an Alto crypto IRA, you can trade crypto like Bitcoin and avoid or defer the taxes. Alto's crypto IRA is the easy way to get crypto into an IRA. You can trade all you want without the tax headache. Create an account in just a few minutes. No setup charges, no account fees. Secure trading 24/7 through Alto's integration with Coinbase. Ready to take your investments to the next level? Diversify like the pros and trade without tax headaches. Open an Alto crypto IRA with as little as $10. Just go to altoira.com/Megyn. That's ALTOIRA.com/MEGYN. Start investing in cryptocurrency today. You're not going to get a better offer than this one. Go to altoira.com/Megyn. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.